welcome to the Pages of Light podcast, your destination for discussions of popular fantasy and science fiction novels from a Christian worldview. My name is Tyler, aka Verum, and with me, as always, is Gabriel, aka the Quarantine Quartermaster. Welcome back to the podcast, Gabe. It has been a very long time since we recorded anything.
It's been months.
Months?
It has been months.
It's been over half. It's over half a year, I think. 7 months now?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Wow.
So our last episode was on February 23rd or 24th or something, and we finished discussing book 1 of the Pattern Mage trilogy, which is called Promise of Blood, right? Yes, Promise of Blood.
Yep. And Crimson Campaign comes after that.
Yes, Crimson Campaign comes after that, which I am currently reading. I'm on chapter.
Oh, are you?
I'm on chapter 8 right now. So.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yes. So it's been good so far, but yeah. But we'll talk about what we're reading in just a minute. Before we jump into the rest of what we're going to talk about, make sure you go to or follow Pages of Light on social media. And you can also head over to pagesoflight.com to check out what we have not been doing for the past 7 months, because there has been no updates on the website since February. So you can go there, but there's nothing new. So there you go.
Well, there's new stuff now. Now
yeah,
that
there's new stuff now, but
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so this podcast, we were going to record a full episode, but we didn't quite feel like we were ready to, and we felt like we should do some kind of an intro podcast to just tell people where we've been for 7 or 8 months or whatever and what happened. And yeah, so we're just going to do some life updates and just to remind you all that we are still alive and we have been reading things and watching things during the hiatus as well. So
for sure.
Do you want to start, Gabe? What have you been doing since February 23rd of 2022?
All right. Well, are you ready? Because it's a laundry list. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay, so, all right. So we played D&D for the first time, and that went for a whole campaign. And I died in a wizard tower from a boulder, an interdimensional boulder. It rolled over me, and then my entire team walked past me and were peeking around the corner at a wizard. And I'm lying on the stairs, incapacitated. And then the interdimensional boulder rolls over me again, and I died. And then I had to create a new character. So there's a book, the Bartimaeus trilogy. Well, there's that trilogy. And I named that character Bartimaeus because I really like Bartimaeus, the character. And then, so he died, and then my friend, Corey, who is a genius in some ways, was like, you should come back as a bard and you should name your character Bartimaeus. And I was like, my mind was blown. And nice. I did that, and I'm a support character now, and it's really fun. I zoom around on a broom and I buff people up, and yeah. And we're going to start next month to get back into D&D, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
to add to the... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's fun. I love Dungeons & Dragons. It's been a long time since I played.
I know. You used to DM. You, made your own starter world, didn't you?
I did. I tried. I don't know if it was very good, but I put in the effort, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool. I bought a resin 3D printer to print miniatures on because I want to go to town and design a character on Hero Forge, print it out, and paint it.
I love Hero Forge.
D&D sessions. Yeah, so
I still get
Bartimaeus is being created. Oh yeah, and if you need something, if you make a mini, just let me know.
I've made a few minis. They're just sitting in my account, but nothing happening.
Oh
with
yeah.
them.
Oh well, we gotta print them.
All right.
I'm looking for things to print.
Download the print files or whatever.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun stuff that we did, and then summer happened. I worked at summer school. I taught my kids with Minecraft EDU, which was fun, having the kids playing in Minecraft. And then Jenna and I, we went to Chicago for a while, for like 8 days, and we stayed with family a lot of the time. And we went to some of the big attractions like the Shed Aquarium, which was really cool, and the Field Museum, which is kind of like Pittsburgh's natural history museum. It's got like the dinosaurs and like the history and stuff.
Sure.
And then came back, and then we went to Deep Creek, Maryland, which was a lot of fun. And we took Vivian to go out on the lake, which was really cool. I bought a different 3D printer, one that does large format, because I want to print, this is going to sound really nerdy, like full-size helmets. Like there's this video from this YouTuber that says, he's like, "Hi, I'm Bob, and I like to make stuff." And he made like a full Mandalorian / Boba Fett helmet.
All right.
That he 3D printed. He like painted it. It's got like the scuff marks, and it's got like the design. It's got the visor that flips down over the eye, like the single monocle.
That's intense.
Like he did it to the nines, and I'm like, I think I want to do that. And I'm going to buy a big printer so that I can print something that can fit on my head. My Prusa Minis have been awesome, but they're just 7 inches by 7 inches by 7 inches. It's
sure. You can only do so much with those.
Yeah. If I was more, I mean, you can slice it up and print them on the smaller ones, which probably would be smart. But I have some other plans for the big printer.
So if I need something for a helmet for a Halloween costume, I know where to go.
Talk to me. I have to buy a big 5-kilo roll of filament so that I don't run out in the middle of like a big print.
Sure.
I'm going to buy like what they call a Texas size roll of filament from the Ziltech company.
I'm sure it's a pretty big
they
roll
work with.
if it's from Texas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the normal ones are like 1 kilo, and these are like 5. So it's like 12 pounds of filament. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a lot.
I know. How about you? What happened with you?
Well, this was mentioned
this
was mentioned in the previous podcast, but I had my first baby, so.
You're a dad.
I am a dad, yeah. So that has been the biggest life change probably of my life. Getting married is a big life change, but I think having a kid is a little bit more like just like time shattering, like the first few weeks of having a newborn, like I feel like just time did not exist. Like I was like time would go by and I'd be like, what? I didn't do anything for like 6 hours straight. I just like sat around and held my baby and fed him and did all this stuff. And I just feel like I never did anything for like 2 months straight. So yeah.
Well, you tended a child, so that's good.
Yeah. And he's still here. So we're doing something right. He's a little over 6 months now, which is awesome. And he's such a joy. And I think 6 months is like starting to get like to a fun age where he's a little bit more interactive and like he can sit up on his own now. And we're going to start feeding him solids in the next week or so here. So that'll be fun.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So probably do some oatmeal. We've already given him a few things. He sucked on a banana. He likes peaches. He went to town on a peach.
Oh,
so
good.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. So that's basically been what I've been up to, other than, just working my normal job. That's been like the biggest time sink. And I think it's been like really hard to like readjust my schedule and like figure out how to allocate my time properly so that I can actually work on other things that isn't taking care of my baby or doing my normal job. Because I feel like all of my other time is just spent taking care of him. And
correct.
Yeah, I feel like in the past...
That's because you're being a good father and you're being there for your family.
Yeah, trying to. But that's been basically the main reason why we've been gone, because I had a kid. And I'm sure you've been busy too.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We've been busy with like... summer stuff, which is nice, and Vivian's like her doctor said she was 3 going on 35. She's just very verbal. She's very fun. She always like wants to go on an adventure. Like, and we have great help here. We're very blessed with my parents and Jenna's parents willing to take care of Vivian. And she's starting preschool next week. She went this week for the first time by herself, and next week real school, quote unquote, 3 days a week for 2 hours. That'll start next week. But yeah, it's been, but yeah, going back to you just being a dad, I think that like when you become a dad, like you learn about not putting your needs first, and it's tough. Like, I lost, like being super social. Well, that was more like part of the whole like marriage and kid thing. And then like I lost ultimate frisbee, and I just feel like some parts of my life closed down. And but the nice thing is, like, after having lived through that part of it, because that happened a while ago, like those things do return to you, like as like you have your different seasons. And that, like, I've lived long enough now to realize that just because something goes away right now, like, and I'm not seeing it like anytime in the next year, doesn't mean it won't come back. And that, like, there's this thing about like the devil makes you urgent, like things have to happen now, and like you fight for like, oh, I need to do this right now or it'll never happen. And God's like do the servant thing, and those things can come back to you. And I think to make that happen is you also have to kind of be in like a biblical space where like there is a team supporting you, and like you're doing your role, and then like later, like people are like, oh yeah, you've done this part, now you have some time and you can go do things. I feel like that has happened to me, like in my first marriage, in my second marriage, like like things have gone away and then they come back, which is nice. And I mentored couples that were like, I feel like I'm never gonna do this thing again. I'm like, just give it time, just slow it down. And I just feel like you're in that phase of like baby.
Yeah, basically. So I've been starting the process of like bringing things back as much as, I think,
it's hard to get that schedule.
Yeah. Well, and I think that because your time is so much more precious now, so like you have a lot less of it to give to other things that aren't family related. So
it makes you like prioritize, doesn't it?
It really does. You have to be like ruthless with like, okay, if my baby goes to bed at like 6 or 6:30 or 7, I have basically until like 11 o'clock to do whatever I want.
Whatever.
Right? So what am I going to do in those, 7 to 11, 4 hours that is most beneficial? Like, should I spend it playing video games? Should I spend it working on projects? Should I spend it browsing social media? Should I spend it going out with friends to get a drink? What is the most important thing in my life? And I think that's just like figuring out like what is most important to me and what should I be spending my time on has been like kind of the question over the past few months of just how do I bring stuff back in a proper way and not have things like consume my life. Like I don't play
and it's hard
very many
like
video games anymore, so it's like,
oh yeah, video games are kind of out the window. I got some in this summer. I played Metroid Dread, which was just an awesome like platformer 2D. Like it did this thing where it like switched from like 2D to 3D.
Sure, yeah.
Oh man, and it was just a smooth game. Like you have this slide, like you never break stride because you could slide or wall jump. It was just an awesome game.
Yeah,
I really love it. It made me think of Super Metroid, and it's just like this is a good game. I really enjoyed.
I don't know if I've ever played a Metroid game.
Oh, okay.
Maybe like if I was at a friend's house.
Metroid Dread would be a good entry point. Do you like 2D platformers?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really play those normally,
You
but
like first person shooters, don't you?
yeah, I like first person shooters or like action games. Like this
Yeah.
summer I was playing the Tomb Raider franchise, like the rebooted
Okay.
Tomb Raider games. They're like, have you ever played Uncharted? Or do you know what
A
those
little
games are?
bit.
So
Yep.
it's
Hmm.
kind of like Uncharted, like a third person kind of action adventure type of game.
Uh huh.
So I'm like halfway through the second game. There's
Nice.
very loud cars outside for some reason.
Yeah. I just heard a
Um,
little bit of it, and I got to play a little Hollow Knight, which is also a
yes.
Metroidvania game where like,
Yeah.
and that game is big. That is a
Yeah.
big game.
I think
It was a lot of fun though.
those Metroidvania games are big because you have to like you go to some area and there's things blocked off that you can't do until you acquire some certain skill or item, and then
Correct.
you have to return to that place later on in the game.
And you have to remember where that place is, which is sometimes
Yeah,
kind of
especially if
hard.
it was like an older type of game where they didn't have like, hey, remember this thing way back then? That you should probably go
Hmm.
back and do that. You know, like there wasn't like uh quest markers of like go right here and do the quest. It
Yeah.
was more you had to kind of figure it out on your own. So
And Metroid Dread, like they do a great job of creating, like I watched this whole YouTube video on it, like these points of no return where like if you like go into a space, like they lock you into like 10 rooms or something so that it helps like progress the game forward because it's like you're gonna find it. Hollow Knight was not like that, and I just found myself wandering aimlessly, killing things and getting a lot of money so that I could get my like next upgrade. And I was just like, sometimes I got really frustrated. Like I stopped because I was just like, I don't know where to go. I thought I had looked at everything, and then like I just kept discovering new parts of the world.
yeah,
I was like underground. There's these like
yeah,
huge like train-sized monsters that come through. I'm like, ah.
yeah,
And there's some creepy stuff in there too.
yeah,
It's like underground
yeah,
skittery monsters.
yeah.
Um, oh man, look, we're back at the side quest already. Boom.
The video game side quest. I will say one game I'm really looking forward to is Bethesda's Starfield. I'm
Oh, what's
super
the
pumped
premise?
about that. So do you know Bethesda game studios? They made Morrowind, Oblivion, and
Skyrim.
Skyrim. Yeah.
Yep,
So
I know Skyrim.
and then Fallout. And so their newest IP is called Starfield, and it's going to be a space game. So
Ooh.
planet hopping. You have a ship that you can build out. And you have a crew and all this kind of stuff. And
Wow.
so it's gonna imagine like Fallout, Skyrim, but in space. So yeah, that sounds
So
awesome.
cute. The new epitome of open world, right?
Yeah, basically.
Open planet.
Open universe.
Open universe. I'm looking forward to Protocol. No, I'm blanking on the name right now. But essentially, I like the horror video game series called Dead Space,
Yes.
and I enjoyed like playing through all those games back when they came out. Dead Space 2 has a special place in my heart, and I love that game, and I could replay that game a lot. Anyway, that team that EA Games like destroyed the team. First they were
Yeah, visceral. Yeah.
Visceral Game, but they had a different name for Dead Space 1. Anyway,
Okay.
the head guy who worked on that, who's like, he pioneered like the, I hate to say this on our awesome podcast, but the dismemberment system in the Dead Space game.
Okay,
And
yeah.
he designed like all the encounters. He talked about how he redesigned one like scene where the guy gets grabbed by Isaac gets grabbed by a tentacle and pulled, and that one scene they had to like rework like so much of the video game because they had to like frame it in with every gun in the game, and they had to like
Sure.
have this different pull system. Anyway, He is going on to design a new game that is like a horror, like video game based in space that is not
Sure.
a Space franchise, and it's supposed to be in the PUBG universe. And then they kind of they went back on that and said, yeah, it's not going to be in the PUBG universe. I don't really understand what that means because I'm just following this game because I know the Dead Space record and I like to be scared in space, and so I'm going to follow this guy. It's going to be I think it's a PS5 exclusive. There will be comments if it's not, but I think it's supposed to come out like really, it's either out or it's coming out in the next couple of months, and I would love to play that game. That would, because Dead Space was really scary, and I enjoyed that. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, I love the first Dead Space. I haven't played the other ones, but the first one is really good. All right. Video game side quests complete. What else have I done? I don't know. I rearranged my bookshelves.
We're going to talk about what books. We're going to talk about books.
I was going to segue to books. I went through a big book purge just a few weeks ago, actually, trying to get rid of books that, like, I went through my shelf and I looked at my books and I said, would I reasonably read this book in the next few years? Like, do I actually think I'm going to read it? And if the answer was no, then I'd put it in a box to give away or sell. So, yeah. So, I made a big
That's
hole.
what the quarantine quartermaster should do.
Look, I made a big hole in my shelf so that I have room for all of the Wheel of Time books. So, I basically need a whole shelf for Wheel of Time, probably more.
Correct.
15 books. Craziness.
It's a lot of books.
But yes, what have we been reading? Let's see. Let me bring up my Goodreads so I don't forget. Whoops, I just broke the video. I brought up the wrong browser. Let's see. Well, I'm just gonna break it real quick because it was in a different browser. All right. So one of the benefits of having a baby is you get to read to your baby, and so I decided that I am going to read some of the great books to him. And so his first book that we ever read to him was The Hobbit. So we read the whole Hobbit. And then we started on the Chronicles of Narnia. So we did Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, and we finished Voyage of the Dawn Treader recently. And now we're on The Silver Chair, which it's been fun to reread those because I have not read them in a long time. And one thing I'll say about this series is the book Prince Caspian is just not a good book. It is like terrible. I feel like the whole book was like a prologue until the very end, and then it was over. It just felt like. Have you read the Prince Caspian?
Yeah, I've read the Chronicles of Narnia, but it's been years. I don't remember that one being so bad.
I don't know. Yeah, whenever I was reading, I was just like, this is just not very good. So, but that was my takeaway from Narnia so far, is that book is not very good, but the other ones have been great so far.
Because Reepicheep's in that book, is that right? Or is he
Prince
in Voyage
Caspian?
of the Dawn Treader?
Well, yeah, he's definitely in Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I think he is in Prince Caspian. Towards the end, I think.
So, as I was reading books to Vivian, and I still do this, there's always little mice in like kids' books. We would read in the Great Green Room. There's now I don't remember it. Red balloon and a cow jumping over the moon, and 3 little bears sitting on chairs, and then there was this mouse in the picture, and every time I would point to the mouse, I'd be like, "This is our friend the mouse. His name is Reepicheep, and he is our friend." And so Vivian has been learning the name Reepicheep for like 3 years, and she doesn't know who Reepicheep is, but she will meet him one day. I think that'll be a fun day.
That's cool.
I've kind of been like laying Easter eggs in her brain so that she can.
You're
like,
building
oh,
up. You're building up to the big reveal of Sir Reepicheep.
of the Reepicheep. Yep. He's a noble mouse.
He is very
I
noble
like
and
him.
chivalrous, and he's all about honor and duty, and
Yep.
doing what's right.
I like the Reepicheep.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good list there, Tyler.
Yeah, what else have I read?
You've been reading a lot.
I read the first book of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief.
Nice.
That was okay.
Yeah, I read that a while back.
Yeah. And then the other things I've been reading have been there's these little science fiction novellas by Martha Wells called The Murderbot Diaries, and it follows this like self-aware robot, which is called like a well, they're called murder bots because they're like these protecting robots that get hired to keep human crews safe. And so I've read the first two. The first one's called All Systems Red, and the second one is called Artificial Condition. I just finished that one recently. So they're pretty.
Heard of those?
They're pretty short little reads, which has been nice. Like after, like if I finish like a big book, I want to just read something short. So, yeah, like after finishing book 3 of The Wheel of Time, you know, it's like a a big, massive book. Well, although that one is probably one of the shortest ones in the series, because book 4 is like double what book 3 is. Book 4 is almost 1,000 pages. Anyway, but it's nice to just have like a short read.
Oh yeah,
like,
short reads are nice. They're refreshing.
Just crank one out after you've been spending 1 month on this other mammoth book. And then the other thing I read the first book of the Mistborn trilogy. That's a reread for me. I want to reread the series because the newest book in the series and the final book in the Era 2 of Mistborn is coming out in November, which I'm going to be way behind on because I've only read the first book in Era 1 of Mistborn. So there's 3 in the original trilogy, and then there's 3 in Era 2, and then book 4 of Era 2 comes out in November. So I'm probably not going to get to the newest book until next year.
You're not.
It's not going to happen.
Yep, that's not going to happen.
Definitely not going to happen. But yeah, Mistborn is great. It reminded me how much I love that world and the characters. And yeah, there's just something about I don't know. I just really like the setting that it's in, and I love going to like the political intrigue where they go to these. If you've read the book, you'll know, but they go to these like these balls that the nobility holds, and there's a bunch of political scheming between the nobility, and there's like alliance building and stuff like that, and because there's a war
political
brewing.
Intrigue.
Yeah, there's a war brewing, and people don't want to get destroyed, so they're making alliances and such. And then the magic system is also just really cool.
I haven't read Mistborn.
You should definitely read Mistborn. So. The magic system is all about ingesting metals, which gives you power. It's like if you ingest if you ingest tin,
my friend
that gives
Corey,
you like heightened senses.
Yeah,
is he the Brandon
Corey.
Sanderson guy?
Yeah, and his friend, our friend John, we John is our dungeon master, and Corey plays too. And his Gandalf build died. It was sad. Fighting like a Balrog creature, which is kind of ironic now that I think about it. Nice. He had planned to
It's a fitting way to go out.
Misty Step. And he had just got this like cool like lightsaber sword, and he had it for like half a session and died. It was going to be like a major upgrade for his character.
Yeah.
And it all got consumed. Like this creature was so powerful that you took like a D6 of damage just by being in its radius. Like it was like an aura. Burning with like hellfire. Yeah. And it's just like, if you are within 30 feet of this, roll a D6 and take that damage or something.
So all the melee characters had a bad time.
Yeah, we all ran. We all ran away.
That's probably good. That's what they did in the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, and we were not fighting the kraken that attacked our boat either. So
Yeah.
we fought off the tentacles and we got out of there.
Nice. Well, all right.
Um,
What have you been reading?
okay, yeah. So I look at my Audible list because
Yes, the
I
audiobook.
like to listen to books, and I am so I have reread a lot of The Land,
The
which is
Land.
by Alaron Kong, and it's a lit RPG saga.
Oh, okay, I've heard
Um,
of those. I've never read any of them though.
Dude, it is fun.
Yeah.
Alaron Kong is a great writer who has become a recluse and has not published in like 3 years. So he published like 8 books in like 3 years and then dropped off the map.
Yeah.
I was like, he's something's going on. So I like went through a bunch of those, which were really fun, and then I read He Who Fights with Monsters, a lit RPG event. So I was getting into some lit RPG, and He Who Fights with Monsters, like I didn't like the beginning, like, and I'm usually like very like open to stuff, and it was just like a very weird beginning,
Yeah.
like he found himself in like the video game world, and then there was like a gray creature and it was attacking him, and then he met people and then they were journeying together, and then like there's these gods in these world and these people are like bowing to him, and like he was basically the main character, which his name is like Jason or something, or I feel bad because I don't remember the main character's name, but he was just saying how he wouldn't like bow down to a god, and like why would you do this, all you people are bowing down. And I thought about that, like him saying that to our god, and I just got really turned off by the book. I was just like, I'm putting it down, and I haven't picked it up since. Like he like went off it, and I felt like my heart
Yeah.
get upset in my heart about it. I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't like what he's saying. Like I'm not a fan of this, and I
Sure.
just put that book down.
Yeah.
And then I tried out The Mayor of Noobtown,
The Mayor of Noobtown.
which, yeah,
What a title.
and yeah, so that was fun, and it's kind of like he like so. The Land is like Alaron Kong. He's like in here. He's like, I'm gonna learn everything. I'm gonna be awesome. Like I'm gonna learn all these spells, and I'm gonna set up like a capital, and like this huge, massive plan going on. And then there's like also like these like celestial like beings that are like plotting, that you kind of just get like one chapter in the whole book about, but it's kind of like the big overarching plot of The Land. And then this guy is just like, I have to calculate my damage for like getting hit by this thing, and I have an armor class of 4, and it has an attack of 13, and I am dealt like 11 damage. He's like, I hate this place.
Okay, so with these lit RPGs, is there like there's like an inner monologue of the character of like calculating his stats and stuff, and like when he rolls the dice? Is that basically what lit RPGs are?
So there's no dice rolling. It's usually experience based. So they defeat an
Okay.
enemy, and then they'll get experience, and then they like
Okay.
level up, and then they
Okay.
get to assign attribute
Sure.
points. And like like you would like Alaron Khan's system because it's like a hard system. Like he goes into enchanting, and he like fights like a soul crystal monster, and then he like infuses it with like a legend, like a soul, like a brilliant soul maybe, and he gets like a year's worth of growth in this underground cave, and then he has to have like his hunters like soul capture and his weak soul stones, and he has to have a place to harvest the soul stones, and then he has to combine them with the right metals. So like if you try to push too much into this like dagger made out of steel, then like it'll explode because of backlash of like trying to stuff too much power in there. And they're each rated, and then like But he finds his moonstone and elementum, which he's like, you can pack so much like spell stuff into elementum that he has like these really powerful blades. He like gets transported to another dimension and fights this being known as Nexus, and it's just like crazy. And then the other one's just like, I'm just kind of an average dude. Now I'm in this world.
Sure.
Let's go check this town out. Oh, that woman needs help. Like, let me go help her.
Okay. So it's set in like the modern day?
No, like it's like
okay. It's like, like a fantasy world.
Swords. Okay. But he lived in modern day, and he's like every chapter.
He gets transported back to a different world. Okay.
Yeah, and then he's just like, he's like, I miss my wife, like every few chapters, and then he just like hates the mechanics of the world. Like he wants to like do something, but like he doesn't have negotiation skills, so he can't like do what he wants to do. He's like, and I hate this place. And he has a little demon that like pals around with him, and his name is Shart. And they just have this dialogue back and forth, and they like can go into mind time where it's like they can have a full conversation in a short like time frame.
Okay.
And yeah, so that one was different, but it was a lot of fun. And then if we do an Alaron comic book, if we want to do a standalone, we should do God's Eye. And this is a really cool premise. So he wrote The Land, I think, and then he wrote God's Eye, which was like, there's all these mini gods being born, and they have like tribes that they have like attunement with, and his tribe is like panther people, and there's like ogres and like spider people, and when you are a god, you have to like go become attached to the land. And then like as you get more followers, like your faith points increase, and you can have acolytes, and you assign acolytes, and then those acolytes get special abilities, and he trains his to be like medical, you know, like emergency response staff. He can like heal people, they can heal people, and do a blade infuse. And it's kind of got like a similar system to The Land. I wouldn't be surprised that if Alaron Khan starts publishing again, and like down the line he will merge like The Land and God's Eye Awakening, the Labyrinth World of Lit RPG novel. Like I could see those two like, and the main character's name in this is, his god name is Zero Fell. And so he is, so I can see that happening. But anyway, The Land is like 8 books, and it's really fun, but I liked God's Eye a lot too. The narrator was different, so that took me a while to get into.
Cool.
All right, and did read a little bit more, but I did want to fast forward to 3 things that I'm kind of looking at right now. One is In the Shadow of Lightning by Brian McClellan. I listened to like 30 minutes of it.
Okay, so you literally just started it.
Yeah, haven't been.
This was funny because we were talking about what books we should read next, and I told Gabe that we should read this book, and he was like, "Wow, I literally just started reading that book." So it's good to know that we are both thinking of the same books that we should read. Yeah,
we're on the same page. I just bought Fairy Tale by Stephen King, which came out yesterday on audible.com. I pre-ordered it.
I've been seeing a bunch of reviews for it on YouTube.
I don't know what to think now. It's it was definitely a slow burn, and I do like that about Stephen King. Like he very much grounds his characters in reality, and then the supernatural, the crazy event happens. And I feel like Stephen King's books can be very polarizing. Like people either very much like them or don't. I generally like all of his stuff. I guess I'm not too picky. But I'm like, you know, when something's unexpected, I'm like, do I like this? I don't know if I like this. And so, but it's growing on me. Like I like the first part of the book, like where he builds out the character and his relationship with this man, and then he's got to take care of the guy's dog and help him. And now we're entering into the fairy tale part of the book, and I'm like, whoa, like this is different. And then lastly, we went to, when we were on our way to Chicago, we stayed at Notre Dame for the night because we have, Jenna's dad went there, and we wanted to take Vivian to the grotto, which is where you can light a candle and say a prayer for someone. And I was there, and I was like, you know, if I wanted to be taught ethics by someone, I feel like it should be someone from like the Christian community. And so I went to the bookstore, and this is hilarious. I find it interesting that Notre Dame, which is a Christian school, has the Dungeons Master's Guide to D&D in the bookstore, which I bought.
I have that.
But they also had tarot cards. And I was just like, isn't that like witchcraft? And like, should we not like, they're like, I'm never going to touch a Ouija board. And I'm glad that when I was young, I didn't have the opportunity to do it. I've just listened to so many podcasts about bad Ouija board experiences that like, it is like, they describe it as like opening the door to your soul, like to whatever's out there.
Like you're asking the devil to do something like directly.
Yeah. And like, well, it's not like you're asking the devil directly to do something, but whatever is present in the, you know, in the vicinity, like it, like I believe that there are lost souls out there trying to find their way home to Christ. And I also think that there are demons, because it's in the Bible that Jesus cast demons out of people, and they're also like they call them inhuman spirits because they were never human to begin with, and they are treacherous and can trick people into believing things. And I don't go near Ouija boards. That's not going to happen.
I don't know how. I don't know how, like, conservative. Well, I don't know how like Christian Notre Dame really is. You know what I mean? Like it's a pretty big school. It may have like Christian roots, but like it's maybe not that much of a Christian school anymore. Like all of the Ivy League schools like Harvard and Yale and all of those places, like they all started as Christian schools, but you wouldn't say that they're Christian schools now because like different leadership, you know, all that kind of stuff, and things just change over time. So yeah, maybe Notre Dame is kind of in that.
But I do feel like they try to like honor God, and they like build it into the curriculum and stuff. And I happened upon this book called The Good Life Method, which is written by two Notre Dame professors, and it's kind of like, how do I live my best life? And I kind of skimmed it.
Live your best life.
I need to go back and
that's Joel Osteen's
like
thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you like trying to like building God into your equation, and then they talk about like a lot of ethical choices. Have you ever heard of like the trolley dilemma?
Yes.
Where like you're on the trolley, it's an ethics like quiz essentially, and like if you go left, you will kill one person. If you go right, you kill 3 people, and then there's all these variations. Like now you're heading for the 3 people, and like, but if you are making a choice to kill one person if you pull the lever instead of the 3 people, and default you want to have as little harm as possible to these people, and so like 1 life is better than 3 lives, and then they're like, well, then the 1 person is your mother or your kid, and they just like keep changing it, and they talk about that, like, you know, from what I remember from just like skimming through the book, it was like a good like balance of like ethics and like how to approach things from like a God perspective, and they weren't in your face with their God perspective. It wasn't a secular book, but I enjoyed it, and it was very thought provoking. And like with many things, I want to go back and read it, take some notes, and kind of like digest my thoughts on it a little bit more.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's where the summer reading and 6 months of reading has kind of taken me.
Yeah, you've got a lot of reading under your belt, so well done.
Well, it's helpful that I commute like around 100 minutes a day, and I can, when I'm focused, I can listen to books at twice the speed. My retention isn't always that great, but in the moment, it's pretty good.
Yeah, sure.
And but that's why I like.
And I don't think like those lit RPGs, like I don't think they're meant to be like, you're not supposed to like sit there and focus really hard on those. I don't think they're more of just like fun reads. It seemed like.
Yeah, they are fun reads. Yeah, they're enjoyable. But still, you want to like. I like to think about when I read a book. I try to like narrate it as like, or think about like what were the pivot points? Like, why did this person have to go to this place? And if I can remember that, that helps me like string the story along. Okay, well, they ended up at this castle. Well, why did they go to that castle? Because they needed to talk to so and so. And then what did they do? What did they talk about when they go there? And that's kind of like, if I build a good story in my brain of like those parts, then it's easier for me to digest the book. And I do that much better when I write things down.
Yeah. I've been trying to work on book note taking during this time off. So writing notes in books, or underlining or highlighting things that I think were interesting, or parallels to Christian faith, or some kind of like ethical dilemma that a character is facing, or something like that. So hopefully that will help us in the future podcasts as we go forward.
For sure.
So,
hey, I have a question.
Yes.
Which is, how has your walk with God been going since we last left?
Yeah, I think recently it's been pretty good. My wife and I have started doing like studies and stuff together. So we're doing, I don't know if you've ever heard of, there's an organization called She Reads Truth, and there's like a parallel organization called He Reads Truth, and they have like study guides that you can do like together as a couple. So there's like the guys version and the women's version, although the books are essentially the same, just the guys, and they just like look different, but all the content and the questions are the same basically. So we've been doing 1st and 2nd Timothy, so we're about to start 2nd Timothy on our next study, so that's been really good. Just because I'm notoriously bad at every day making time to read my Bible, or even just like praying like by myself. Not very good at those types of things. So yeah, that's been really good. And also, since having our baby, we've been praying with him every night, and just like trying to build that kind of habit, so that he sees like that's what you do before bed, you pray. So yeah, I think I wouldn't say like right now is pretty good, but maybe like previous months have not been as good, because whenever we first had the baby, it was kind of just like like circle the wagons,
survival.
Like we're just trying to like get through the next day or the next week or whatever. We're not really thinking about like, how can we be better Christians right now? Or we're just like, how can we have this baby survive till tomorrow? So
right.
But yeah, I think lately it's been pretty good. I would say it's been good. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I felt distant from God for a while. Like there's like when we got busy, and I just felt like I wasn't making time, and
yeah.
There's even like a day or two that was just really, really dark, and was not a happy person. But routine definitely helps me. So my current routine is in the morning. I talk to my wife on Marco Polo, because we don't always get time. Like at night. Sometimes we don't, like, we're just exhausted. We're both special education teachers. We come home and we've had a tough day, like been physical with kids, like, well, the kids are being physical with us or something.
Yeah.
And we just don't want to talk. So I typically start the morning with like we talk about the week, we get our planning done, like who's going to take care of Viv, and shopping and appointments, and we remind ourselves of all that so we stay on top of it. And then I talk to a friend, different friends on Marco Polo, and then I have Bible time, and I have recently been doing a lot of the Bible Project. If you've ever watched their animations on YouTube, they now have their own app called the Bible Project app.
That's cool.
And it has all of their videos. It has like scriptures that's being quoted like during the videos that runs underneath it. So they've done a really good job designing that. I have not found it on Apple TV. I want them to release it on Apple TV because I want to, I can always screen mirror from my iPhone to the Apple TV. Like I can pull it up on my phone and watch it up there, but I prefer it just be native on the Apple TV. And we watched that once as a family. And I want to make, we are supposed to have Bible time, and I think that I'd like to watch like the Bible Project. We also have Vivian started listening to the Bible app for kids, which I think is in association with the YouVersion Bible.
It's from Life Church.
Yeah, and I put it on my phone last night, and for the first time, and Vivian picked a story, and it was the crucifixion of Jesus, and she just watched it, and like it said, like he got nailed to the cross, he wore the crown of thorns. And she just watched it over and over again. She, when kids see something that's new and like, Jesus was, he was whipped. They said that he was whipped, and she just kept watching. I think that was just like her brain, like trying to process. Vivian loves a story. She loves a story. I think it's been. I think there were some patchy parts there in the summer where I wasn't in the Word and I wasn't like God-centered or focused, and like I hate it when I'm so far away from God that my wife is feeling, that that I don't have her back all the time, because I do most of the time, but like the point where she's not feeling like we're not on the same team, like I don't like to get there, and that happened a little bit this summer. Everything's good, but and I feel closer to God now, but I also feel a little run down with school starting, and it's been it's good to like I do much better when I'm in a routine. I know that time I also try and get to work 15 minutes early so I can just spend some time, and I really have been doing it in the car, but I feel like maybe I should go back to the 15 minutes at my desk where I can sit and focus, because sometimes when I am driving into work my mind wanders to different things, and and I also have been watching Ray Comfort on his Living Waters YouTube station, where he does a lot of like interviews, and it's so interesting to hear people's
the street
thoughts,
interviews.
like the street interviews, they're so good, like and then how he talks to people and like tries to get them to come to Christ, and like he brings people to tears, and I'm just really impressed by that, and I'm like I kind of wish I could like challenge people like that, because I worry about people in my family. I'm like, I don't see you like focusing on God. I don't see you like making him your number one priority. And like I don't do it, and we're not supposed to cast stones, but like if we don't get their attention, like they're not going to end up in heaven. The path is narrow to heaven. And like only a few people can walk that path. And like we're talking about eternity. And like I'm thinking, as people grow older, like they're not going to be around forever, and I feel like I need to like challenge myself to like have a conversation with them and be like, accept Christ. Let's spend eternity together. Let's make that happen. Because I don't want to see you spend eternity in not heaven, because that would be a really bad place to be.
Yeah.
Eternity is a long, long, long time. And I don't want to be... I want as many people to go to heaven as possible. That would be the best scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I don't know. I think, I guess to wrap up, we'll just talk a little bit about what we're going to do with the podcast going forward, what we plan to read. So we'll start off. I think we're going to be continuing doing Wheel of Time. I really have been loving the Wheel of Time books, though I have heard that the middle books of Wheel of Time get pretty sloggy. That's the word that I've heard people use. Like they're slow reads, or the plot lines aren't that interesting, or stuff like that. I think I've heard like books 7, 8, and 9 are like some of the worst books in the series. So we'll see. But I am loving Wheel of Time, and each book adds new layers and new things to think about. And so the next episode, official episode, will be The Dragon Reborn. We'll do probably 2 episodes on that. I think we might change how we do the podcast. I think we might start doing where we talk about half of the book, and then we talk about the other half of the book in the next episode, instead of trying to do like the whole book in one episode and then do other topics on episode 2. I don't know what we'll do. We might play with the format a little bit, since we're both a lot busier than we used to be. So since I have a kid now, and so just like thinking of ways like to be more efficient with how we read and how we record the podcast and those types of things, so that we can consistently get content out, just in a consistent way, instead of having like, I don't want to have another 7-month hiatus of the podcast because I can't manage my time correctly to read and prepare podcast stuff. So yeah, if any of you have tips for like time management, yeah, for sure. Wheel of Time, we're definitely going to do that. We're going to continue Powder Mage. I'd like to finish that trilogy because that's been fun series.
It's a different pace than Wheel of Time. I like Wheel of Time, but I think that Brian McClellan's like Powder Mage trilogy, it's just like, it's fast moving, it keeps you interested. It's fun.
There's not as many like subplots, like stuff to keep track of. It's much more streamlined. Although there are different plot lines, but it's not the same as like Wheel of Time, or if you read the Stormlight Archive from Brandon Sanderson, like it's not that type of story. So, which those books are like a good break from the big epic fantasies. And I don't know, we'll be reading some other stuff, probably do some one-offs or some other trilogies and stuff like that. So as always, if you guys have suggestions for what we should read, leave a comment, or tag us on social media or whatever. And I don't know, is there anything really really specific that you want to read in for the podcast, Gabe?
Oh, definitely the Bartimaeus trilogy. I mean, I've been waiting to geek out on that book for years.
So maybe after we finish Powder Mage, we'll do the
whatever.
The Bartimaeus trilogy.
As long as we get to do it. I just like, there's a time in my life where I'd listen to them like every 6 months. I'd just be like, I just really enjoy that book. I think Bartimaeus is so clever, and I just really like the way Jonathan Stroud like writes the book, and like Bartimaeus is kind of funny. He's all cocky about his like things, and then he's always like messing up in some way. So he's like, I'm a genie of great renown, 5,000 years old, and then he like bumbles something, and he's like, I just didn't see that very thin line on the 7th plane. It's just funny to me. So he tripped an alarm, and like all these bells and whistles started going off, and That's funny. But yeah, he's very smart, and it's interesting because he can take any shape that he wants. So like the way he like breaks into a building, like the way he evades the traps when he breaks into Simon Loveless's house is really cool. I like that part, and the descriptions are fun. I just love the vocabulary used in that book.
Cool. Well, don't spoil anything. We will get there, and yeah. I don't know. That's pretty much it. That's that's why we've been gone. That's what we've been doing while we've been gone, and those are the plans that we have going forward. Hopefully, to continue the podcast in a consistent manner, and yeah, to do other content as well. I don't want to just do the podcast. I'd love to do other types of content on the channel as well. So stay tuned for other stuff. Hopefully, cool. Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. If you want more Pages of Light content, as I said, you can go to our website, pagesoflight.com, although there's nothing new up there since February, but you can see this episode, even though you're listening to it right now. But yeah, so you can go there for any updates. We're on YouTube, of course, Facebook, Instagram, social media platforms. And as always, if you enjoy this podcast and you want to support us, please leave a review on your podcast app, Apple Podcast, or I think Apple Podcast is the only place where you can actually review episodes. I think the other ones are just, you just subscribe. So if you use Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. Cool. Any last thoughts, Gabe?
No, this was a really fun conversation. I'm looking forward to have a little bit of extra time to prepare for our next book discussion. I think that's good.
And if maybe
and it's good to be back. Thank you for coming back and listening to us, by the way, everybody. We appreciate it.
Yes. Maybe we should do like more informal podcasts where we're not covering anything specific. We're just talking about random stuff. Maybe this can be like bonus episodes or something. Anyways,
maybe we'll get lots of views and people will like it.
Maybe. We'll see. All right, that's going to be it. Thank you guys for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. Remember to keep reading and to share the gospel with somebody this week, and we will see you in the next episode. See ya.
See you later.